Middle-class professionals in the UK are facing an unprecedented crackdown on tax evasion by government revenue inspectors. Many people could well be looking at the very real possibility of facing severe financial penalties at the least, or even criminal prosecution with jail sentences at worst. Under such circumstances as those, tax will be very taxing indeed, and will have very destructive personal consequences for the people caught in the tax net. It has begun with the medical professionals. Who will be next? Lawyers, accountants, you? One thing is for certain. The small businesses of the UK will be certain to be on the list, as will be the self-employed in all sectors of the economy. We are looking to stop this from happening by the implementation of a general tax amnesty, and we need your help to make this happen. At http://petitions.number10.gov.uk/pay-tax-now can be found an online petition to Prime Minister Gordon Brown. If you are a British citizen, you can sign it. A link will be on this site to your left. Please click and sign to make your opinion count with the government and help bring fairness back to our tax system. The benefits that accrue to the Exchequer from a comprehensive general tax amnesty are many, and apart from the fiscal, the contribution to society in terms of compliance to the law is important and should be encouraged. Many tax experts, accountants, lawyers, small business owners regard the current tax system as unfair and want it simplified. In fact, many politicians from all parties feel the same way. A survey carried out by the Forum of Private Businesses found that 2/3 of those firms that responded believe that the tax regime places too heavy a burden on small businesses and that the system is weighted in favour of big companies. Almost half of respondents to the FPB's Tax and Budget Member Panel survey listed fairness as the main priority for any tax system. The petition on number 10 Downing Street's website is: "We the undersigned petition the Prime Minister to implement a general tax amnesty, either permanent or for a limited period, which allows taxpayers of their own accord address the tax collecting agency and disclose inaccurate or incomplete information from past years, or disclose material they did not report during previous dealings with the agency, without financial penalty or prosecution." Grant Thornton published in September 2009 a tax manifesto, a proposal for reforming the tax system. In the core findings, the tax system needs to become more transparent, but also measures are needed to bring people back into the tax fold and keep them there. The recommendation is that the UK implements a vigorous general tax amnesty to bring those in the hidden economy back into the tax system without fear of imprisonment or penalty. On the Treasury's figures, the budget deficit will reach £178 billion in the current financial year. If the previous new disclosure opportunity was anything to go by, HMRC will, in the main, accept the disclosure, but there is always a doubt in certain cases that further investigation may take place, which could lead to a criminal prosecution and, in exceptional circumstances, a jail sentence. From an HMRC perspective, a tax amnesty is a cheap option rather than opening many inquiry files. HMRC is not to be underestimated in their resolve to collect every last pound of tax that it is able in the United Kingdom. They have the staff and the expertise and would appear to be working through the middle classes on a sector-by-sector basis going forward. In Grant Thornton's tax manifesto, a proposal for reforming the tax system, the byline to the publication was, "Let's rewrite the rule book." In the core findings, they make a recommendation. In order to rebuild trust amongst the electorate, the tax system needs to become more transparent, but also measures are needed to bring people back into the tax fold and keep them there. The recommendation is that the UK implements a vigorous general tax amnesty, similar to that introduced in Ireland in 1993, to bring those in the hidden economy back into the tax system without fear of imprisonment. The main reasons why governments enact general tax amnesties are varied, but have in the main the following in common, which is an immediate need to raise revenue, for example, during an economic downturn. The government has been criticised for failing to detail how it intends to reduce the country's £178 billion budget deficit, with some critics accusing the Labour government of holding back on revealing spending cuts and tax increases at the expense of losing voters. On one aspect of the fiscal crises, most can agree, is that, in the words of Lord Mandelson, we face quite exceptional circumstances. There are special factors. The global economy has suffered the biggest financial shock since the 1930s. Taken from the National Audit Office, HM Revenue and Customs, Tackling the Hidden Economy, a report by the Comptroller and Auditor General, session 2007-2008, the report had this to say about sanctions. From the available information, it is not possible to determine the cost effectiveness of sanctions, including the extent of the deterrent effect. The House of Commons Public Accounts Committee report, HM Revenue and Customs, Improving the Processing and Collection of Tax, Income Tax, Corporation Tax, Stamp Duty, Land Tax and Tax Credits, second report of session 2009-10, dated November 2009, in summary, the report stated that, at a time when public finances are under pressure, protecting tax revenues has never been more important. The recession presents a number of challenges for the department and places the department under a great deal of stress. Under the heading, Tackling Tax Avoidance at paragraph 6, the report stated that the department does not have an estimate of the total value of tax lost through tax avoidance or the number of staff it deploys on tax avoidance work. It is generally accepted that the first task of any tax administration is to facilitate compliance. That is, those who should be in the system are in the system and that they comply with the rules. The University of Manchester Business School was commissioned to write a report for the Small Business Service, headed Taxation and Small Business, a review of the literature, authored by Francis Chittenden and Brian Sloan in November 2006. The chapter headed Tax Evasion, page 50 of the report, has many insightful and useful examples of how compliance is facilitated by the use of education and not by threats of prosecution or draconian penalties for non-compliance.